Good morning, Hampton Roads. How's everybody doing today? And welcome to Virginia's only local real estate investing podcast, where we get to talk about local investors, local deals, and all things local. I'm your host, the founder of the Master Investor Academy and author of my best-selling book, Work Just Gets in the Way of Making Money, Scott Jelinek. If you guys have any questions, concerns, comments, things you'd like to discuss, properties you'd like to sell, you can go ahead and text me directly at 757-699-4227. That's 757-699-4227. So I have a bunch of things to talk to you guys about today. So first off, it has been a week. It has been a week since I've made a podcast for you or a video, and it is because I got sick. I don't know if you, now as I say it, I got a little bit of cough left. I don't know if you noticed on my very last one I did, I was starting to cough a lot. Well, turns out I had pneumonia and it was growing. And so I couldn't even have a conversation without coughing my brains out. And it was a whole week. I was home. My wife dragged me to the doctor. I got all kinds of antibiotics, steroids, cough medicines, codeine, you name it. And I think I'm about 90% better right now. I'm able to have a conversation. I'm able to talk. There was a rough week though. I couldn't say 6 words without just hacking up my brains and coughing my brains out. And being that it's 2021 or 2020 or 2021, you can't go anywhere with a cough these days. So I basically just stayed home, stayed in my house, because if you cough, they're just going to shoot you if you're out on the street coughing. So I just stayed home, and it really made me appreciate how blessed I am to be able to stay home, stay at the resort. I read, and I just kind of stayed home. Excuse me. And took my medicine and hung out at the house and didn't really have anything that I had to get done. And so I'm very, very blessed to be able to do that. So with that said, I wanted to tell you one of the, I read several books. One of the books that I read, I wanted to tell you about, it was called Total Financial Awakening by Andrei Sekurik. And it was actually really good. I enjoyed it. I would actually recommend it to you. It's written in, I read a lot of books, and this one is probably only one of 2 that I've read on our subject, on real estate, that's written as fiction. But it was well done. The way it was very well done. It was done in a story form. Guy that's working, and he's working 70, 80 hours a week, and basically has no light at the end of the tunnel. It's all for someday, and then meets another guy who's living a free lifestyle. And the guy kind of teaches him how to get into our business and to do what we're doing. And it progresses through it until he actually attains that same freedom. And so I think it was pretty well written. I enjoyed it. And I would recommend it to you if you guys are looking for something new to read. I know not everybody likes to read, but if you do, it was worthwhile. I thought it was pretty good. Another thing I want to tell you. So last week, it was my son's birthday, and my son, he ended up going, we did a whole bunch of different things, but then he was in an arcade yesterday, and we were feeding him money, which I don't agree with these machines, but it was one of those machines where you got to keep stacking up. You got to time it perfect and stack something up. It's like almost like Tetris up to the top. And if you get to the top, then you win a prize. And he was over $100 deep in this machine. Again, I would never spend that kind of money on an arcade game, but it was his birthday. He had a bunch of friends with him, and so we allowed it. And it turns out he won, and he won an Oculus 2, which I looked it up, and they're like $300. So I felt like, hey, it was a pretty good deal, and it was something I was actually interested in. I don't know if you guys have ever played with it. I've only played with it for one night so far, but it is insane, the technology. Excuse me. The technology inside this thing is absolutely insane. You're in another world. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm not 100% ready to come back to doing this yet. But anyway, so I thought it was actually really interesting. If you guys haven't played with one of those things yet, an Oculus 2, it was really, really interesting. And we didn't actually buy any games yet, so we were just using the stuff that comes with it. But it's pretty intense, pretty crazy how you literally step into another world. You're on roller coasters, or you're walking around dinosaurs, and you're physically there. I mean, you can look all over the place, and it's crazy. That was my first time experiencing it. I don't know if you guys have already done that, but it was pretty awesome. So what I wanted to talk to you guys about today is I made a comment on Friday, and it wasn't this Friday, it was the Friday before. And I had several people shoot me emails and text saying, I made a comment that I worry about people that are doing, I don't want to say doing so well right now, but are expanding and getting so much bigger right now, in a time where we've only been seeing our trajectory like this. And so people commented, well, what is it that you're worried about them for, or what are you afraid of? And so I told them, well, I'll address that Monday. I meant last Monday, but as it would be, I never did get to do another video or podcast for you. So I'll tell you exactly what I mean. And just this past week, I had breakfast with a guy, and he was telling me, and I like this guy a lot, and he's doing really well, mind you. He's got all kinds of stuff going on. He's doing really well, but he's bought about 20 houses so far, and he's crushing it. He's doing really good. And he says he should be positive cash flow, about $10,000 a month. But he's almost at zero. He says every month it's something. It's either one's vacant, or this has to be repaired, or whatever, that it all goes into the pot. It gets shuffled around, and then it's enough to pay all the mortgages. I know, I've been there. I did it. I told you guys I had 84 houses. That was that same shuffle. It should have been making this much a month, and we never got there because it was always a shuffle until the downturn hit. And so why am I afraid? What am I afraid for people like that? I know another guy right now who started off as a clerk with his attorney. I think he is an attorney himself. And he started off clerking with his attorney, then started seeing all these HUDs of all these investors making all this money. He broke off on his own. And now he's an investor, and he's crushing it. Now he started a title company. He started a real estate brokerage. He's doing land development. He's doing all this stuff. And all this stuff is great. So I'm not trying to say to be small-minded. What I am saying, though, is that the market has only been like this right now, which means anybody who's been involved since starting, I guess, in about 2009 or 10 has never seen anything else other than straight up. So everything you touch turns to gold. If you screw it up, it still works out because the market's continually going up. Well, I get fearful. I've seen it before, and that's why I get fearful for these people. Now, mind you, I hope all the best for them. I hope it goes up for the rest of their lives and everybody makes $1 bazillion. But I'm fearful for if we have a downturn, because everybody acts like, well, what's the worst that can happen? And even I even was listening to somebody the other day on their podcast, and they're basically doing no equity deals, sub twos, owner financing, no equity deals, with the mindset of cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. And they're like, well, in a bad market, rents go up, and so it'll even be better if. And I'm like, you know what? That sounds great in theory, and it sounds great on paper. However, I went back through this guy to see when he started, and he started in 2014. And I'm like, all right, so you haven't actually experienced a bad market. I have, and I know a lot of you guys have, and a lot of my friends that are older, and we've been doing this for a long time. We laugh about it sometimes, but I remember in mid 2007 to mid 2008, where we had like 30% of our properties overnight stop paying overnight. Now, let's take the corona out of the equation and forget that is a unique situation. And I'm not going to, yes, we should be prepared for stuff like this in the future. But this was, I wouldn't blame anybody that got hurt by this situation, because, this was really the government overstepping their own bounds. But we're not even going to talk about that today, although we should talk about it. But let's just say a normal down market. We had about 30% of our people overnight stop paying. And so although it sounds like, oh, well, no big deal, the prices will go up, rents will go up. No, you still have all these. You have 30 mortgages now. You have let's just use numbers, $1,000 a month mortgage due on each of them, and nobody's paying you. Now you got to go through 6 weeks, in some states longer, but 6 weeks on average to get the person out. And that's if they don't dispute it and don't fight it. Well, during that 6 weeks, now you're out $45,000. So now you have some that you reoccupy, and some of that money goes to catch up the one that you didn't get to, you know what I mean? And it's a shuffle. And I've seen it before. And this is where I get nervous for people. I get nervous because I feel like when there's been no waves, it's just been straight up, that everybody feels like, and again, take it from me, because I felt this way myself back in 4, 5, 6. You all feel like you're the smartest guy in the room, and that I'm just going to keep buying. I'm going to keep buying, and everything is going on the way it's supposed to go. And it may continue on that way. And I hope it does. So it may continue on that way. I fear for the people that have never seen or even considered or think about a downturn or what could happen. And what could happen is you build this empire that is a house of cards. And you have, 84 properties, as I did going into 2008. And I also had 84 mortgages. And I had a lot of money. I had a lot of cash reserves. And so I thought, well, I can just weather it. And I ran through it all, almost $1 million. Ran through it all. And so, I try and stress that to people. And I don't want to tell them to play small. I don't want to say, oh, don't expand, don't grow. But it's something I think people need to be aware of. And this is why, my position has changed since the bust in these last 12 years. I'm all about free and clear now. And I read a post this morning by somebody who I like and respect, talking about all the reasons why you shouldn't own free and clear and giving all the mathematical equations. And again, this is what I always tell people. You're right. If you just base it on calculations, you're right. You should never own anything free and clear. But I'll tell you what, I sleep like a baby. On the first of the month, I get paid every single month, whether regardless of my occupancy rates. I have 55, I think, of my properties are free and clear now out of 115. They will all be over some stage over the next 5 years. And so I guess it's comes down to a mindset and a risk tolerance. And there was a time when I was new where everything was at risk. And that was the way I said, well, I have nothing to lose, was kind of how I got into it. Once you start having a lot, I'm like, I had everything to lose. And so now I flipped it all on its head to, instead of how can I make the most money, it's in which ways can I get hurt, and what can we do to avoid those? And so just my 2 cents. I know a few of you guys asked me on what I meant by, I said, I'm fearful for the people who are growing so big right now and just flying blind. And that's what I mean when I say I'm fearful, that people aren't taking into account what could happen. That's all I got for you guys today. I apologize. I missed you guys for a whole week. Nothing I was, excuse me, nothing I was able to do about it. I was hardly able to get 10 words out of my mouth. I think I'm about 9. Should be able to to continue on. Have a fantastic day. Do something today that your future self is going to thank you for. You may not appreciate it right now, but I promise you 2, 3, 5 years from now, when you look back and say, oh, I remember that day I decided that's it. Today is the day I'm doing it. You're going to thank yourself at that time for it. Thank you guys for watching, and make sure to give me a thumbs up. I greatly appreciate it. So I know that you're out there. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done it already, and you can click on the notifications so that you will get notified when I put out another one. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Have an absolutely fantastic day.